Let's open up the OG mailbag, brought to you by The Butcher's Market. Check them out online at thebutchersmarkets.com. Alongside Joe Giglio, I'm Joe Ovia. Shout out to StreamYard. They're back up and running today. Podcast never sounded better yesterday, but we're back on the StreamYard so you can see our beautiful faces.
While we're shouting out, the birthday shout out, Ryan Shantz. He came over to Simply Crepes. He's one of our guys. He was also at our birthday party too.
Nice.
So happy birthday, Ryan. His wife, Kate, is the real reason that he's getting this shout out. Right? Not that we don't appreciate Ryan, but when your wife asks you a favor, when your wife's like one of these people who has to put up with us talking in the background, you got to be like, all right, yes. Perfect. Here comes the shout out.
Are we doing birthday shout outs?
Yeah. I mean, when
I feel like we got to do a cameo now. We got to be like cameo.
But when people like that ask, you're like, yeah.
Okay.
Because she's probably like, what are these two droning on about? Why are you watching them on YouTube?
Look, man, that's fair. That's fair. I feel like we should probably start charging people cameo style for birthday shout outs.
I'm good with them supporting us the way that they do.
I don't know,
coming
Joe.
to our birthday party and getting a
No. I have learned through all the hustle bro culture that I get fed on Instagram that you always got to be monetizing.
Oh,
got to monetize everything.
Okay,
man.
my bad.
Oh, I'm kidding. Anyway, big thanks to Copiers Plus. Check them out online at copiers-plus.com. They bring you the podcast every day. But on Friday,
customer service, amazing customer service,
much better customer service than me. I couldn't even remember to bring in those documents you needed printed. They're sitting on the printer right now. I never brought them in.
Guess what? I'm going to need one for September. So you can bring it in. We'll put it in the secret spot that no one knows about. We can even fill out the check now.
Even you forget that the secret spot exists.
I was like, no, wait a second. What did I do with those checks?
Oh, we have money? Oh, sweet. Okay, cool.
There's always money in the banana stand.
Yes, this is true. This is true. So big thanks to Copiers Plus. But of course, when we open up the mailbag, it is brought to you by the Butcher's Markets. Get the brats. I ended up doing the Carolina Cajun chicken yesterday.
Whoa. I've not had that. They have so many different chicken flavor that you get. It's just a package. You go in there, you go into the side, you look at that, the refrigerator container there. You pick them out.
You just gave me an idea. We should talk to Kenneth over at the Butcher's Market to see if we can come up with OG chicken that tastes like chicken.
Chicken that tastes like chicken.
Yeah, no, I'm kidding.
Yeah, we're innovators when it comes to food items that are not only excellent but live up to their name.
To the it's chicken. Oh, okay.
It's truth in advertising.
Yeah. So the Carolina Cajun. It had very flavorful, had a little kick to it.
If you say it has a kick, then I probably couldn't eat it.
A little kick to it. I would suggest if you can find Crystal hot sauce, the Louisiana hot sauce.
Oh, okay.
It'll go really, really well on it. Made some sandwiches with that along with some red beans and rice. It was good stuff. Thanks to our friends at the Butcher's Market.
Unbelievable last minute Father's Day gift idea.
Yeah.
Go to thebutchersmarkets.com and get the Steak of the Month Club for the last 6 months of 2025. Great deal going on right now. Pops gets a new steak every month. He'll enjoy it. It's like Christmas every month.
Hey, look, you might have a pre-kindergarten graduation to celebrate. So,
oh boy,
fire it up.
They're going to get the people going today.
All the hot dogs.
I'm just telling you, you're going to get the people going today if you drop that take.
No, I'm not dropping that take. I'm not going to yuck people's yum, man, when it comes to enjoying things. But I do find it kind of funny that there are pre-K graduations. And I do wonder myself, what exactly did you accomplish?
I keep trying to tell you, stop going to the bathroom in your pants is quite a life milestone when you think about it. You probably accomplished more in pre-K because they won't let you in the store now, right? Without, you got to be out of the diapers to go. So
congratulations, you stopped eating crayons. Here's a little cap and gown.
I think you're downplaying this whole potty training thing.
I do have hot takes about these graduations. I'm going to a moving up ceremony today.
Okay.
I think that's a proper name for it.
Listen,
when the kids moved on from 5th grade, it was a 5th grade celebration. Cool.
I've become Roy Williams on all of this.
Yeah.
You want to celebrate? Celebrate. You won the regular season. The 1 year where we only cut down one net because they tied.
That's fine.
He's like, but we only cut down one net.
That's fine.
I was like, all right, man, fine. You know what? You got to do you, man. You want to celebrate, like baseball celebrates every round of the playoffs. I think that's the right way to do it. Hockey's like, well, we won one round. Like, we got a lot of work to do. It's like, nah, man, pop a beer, pop something, have a little bit of fun.
My issue with baseball now is like, why do you need all that protective stuff? It's just beer.
Well, it's marketing, I guess, for all those people who want to pop champagne in their own home.
Like, why are we doing? Why do you have? I mean, I see guys celebrating in like full on ponchos and I don't know, like snow goggles. Like that kind of defeats the purpose, guys. Live it up.
Kind of have that sting in your eyes. Did you really feel it if it didn't sting? Did you really win?
I should probably stop while I'm ahead here. Okay.
Here's a mail that never fails. Makes me want to wag my tail. When it comes, what a whale.
I have a question. Does Taylor Swift have to show up every time that Jeff Skinner's in the lineup? Is that why she was there last night with Travis Kelce? It's not the Matthew Tkachuk connection with Kelce. Apparently they're boys. I think they were in town for a wedding as well. And they ended up, Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce ended up showing up to the game last night, which I fell asleep. I thought the game was over. I had even put out there on social media, like, guys, I mean, and this is a question that we received. So if you're wondering what the hell does it have to do with the mailbag, when the Panthers looked like they were just going to run their way to another Stanley Cup, it has been posed to us. Does it in any way, shape, or form recontextualize what happened in the Eastern Conference Finals against the Florida Panthers? Well, yes, even at 2-2 right now in the Stanley Cup Finals between Edmonton and Florida, because I think what you're witnessing, the guys who are stepping up for Edmonton are the kind of guys that Rod Brind'Amour always talks about. Well, they got this guy. I mean, Draisaitl's got a record now with these OT winners, which is insane.
It's interesting. Every single time I say to Rod Brind'Amour that Edmonton has two of the best players in the NHL, he always says, I think it's the two best.
The two best straight up.
And I kind of got news for you after. I'm sorry to be a prisoner of the moment. I know McDavid he's the best talent in the NHL.
Easily.
I think Draisaitl is the best player in the NHL.
He's been coming up, man.
Proved me wrong here, because last night he was driving that bus. And again, his fourth overtime winner. Like, remember, we get excited here when Marty Necas, because you knew with the open ice on 4-on-4, Marty Necas was going to score.
Yes.
Right? Like 3-on-3, excuse me. Like, it was Marty Necas time. This guy's doing it 5-on-5 in the playoffs when the money's on the table. So,
I mean, look,
it was a fantastic hockey game last night. Like, the first period was all Florida, and I was like, "Oh man, Florida's a war machine. What in the world?"
That's what I thought. That's honestly what I thought. And to close the point here, I do think two things can be true. I think you can look at the way. I think what's happening right now is if you're the Carolina Hurricanes, you're seeing what the level is to get to that point.
Yeah.
Not to win it all, but to get to that point. It just so happens the Carolina Hurricanes are going on these deep playoff runs while Florida is running hot with some of the best players in the game right now. It just so happens to be that Edmonton is also really freaking good with some generational talent on that roster, getting back to this point and digging deep, if you will, digging in, to borrow a phrase from Trip Tracy, to not let what happened last year happen again. You kind of saw that a little bit last night, at least for what I was able to stay awake for before I fell asleep and suddenly woke up. I'm like, wait a minute, we're in overtime. What the heck happened? So look, I think two things can be true. You can look at Florida and say, man, there was just no way that the Carolina Hurricanes, as currently constructed, were going to get past them. And also understand that in order to do this, like Edmonton, they're going to have to make some really hard decisions this offseason.
You ready for the top 4 players from the 2014 NHL draft?
What are they?
Number 1, Aaron Ekblad. Florida's unbelievable top defenseman. Number 2, Sam Reinhart, who was picked by the Sabres. Obviously, he's flourishing with Florida. Number 3, Draisaitl for Edmonton. And number 4, Sam Bennett, picked by the Calgary Flames.
Now, Bennett's going to get money. Marchand's going to get money.
Look at the 4 stars of this series.
They're all going to get money.
But it's like, to Rod's point,
of course.
Where do you get these guys?
Well, look, Jeff Skinner was thought to be one of those guys.
Absolutely.
Jeff Skinner in the lineup last night. So Edmonton, with a sense of humor, tweeting out the old Carolina Hurricanes photo during the Taylor Swift Red Tour. She heard Jeff was in with the eyeballs emoji. I like that. I had asked Sunheim over at the Carolina Hurricanes when that photo started to resurface. I'm like, tell me again how this kind of played out again. Because this was in September of 2013. September 2013.
Was she here?
She was here at
PNC?
or at the time, whatever it was called.
RBC.
Was it RBC in 2013? Was it?
I think so.
I can't.
I think
track.
it was.
But she had done 2 stops in North Carolina for the Red Tour. She was in Greensboro the night before, and then she came to Raleigh the next night.
Okay.
And then I think the last time she toured here was the 1989 tour.
Which, of course, was not 1989.
No, that was not. And I think
As they were joking about last night on the hockey broadcast.
Yes. That was also at the arena. So regardless, I saw that photo floating around again because of the Taylor Swift, Jeff Skinner in the lineup situation. And I just wanted to double check. I'm like, was this just kind of like a happenstance? And Mike pointing out, oh, no. Skinner absolutely wanted to meet Taylor Swift. It just happened to be a fantastic photo opportunity. Also, we had texted our guy Joey to see, like, were you in the building that day? He's like, nah, that was before my time. A little bit before my time.
You've got mail.
All right, let's go to the OG Sports phone for the next round of calls. You can call the OG Sports phone anytime you want.
919-444-2211. Call the OG Sports phone and curse or don't.
All right, let's go to a 919.
Hey, gentlemen, Matt and Fuquay. Question for the group. There's Twitter/internet discourse or X discourse today regarding ACC football stadiums and where they are ranked. I guess there was some infighting amongst state fans as far as where they are ranked on some people's lists. And to be clear, I mean, I've been to other football stadiums. I think NC State is a great environment. The stadium itself is fine. There are aspects of it that are better than some other places. Like, for example, like UNC is much prettier, but like go to the concourse area at Carolina is terrible. Like, anyone that tell you otherwise has no idea what they're talking about. The bathroom situation, the concourse is it is like maybe last in the ACC. Other than maybe the old version of Duke. There might be some others that are bad too, but point being, there are sort of good and bad things about all of them. But the question for the group really is blind ranking, or maybe not blind ranking, but I think you both, or at least Giglio, have been to all of the football stadiums in the ACC, I think, at least once. And my question is, rank them. And consider everything. I'm talking about like the stadium itself, atmosphere, whatever, like overall experience, just like the concourse area, bathrooms, food, the overall game day experience, every single thing about the stadium itself. I think all of those things are part of the discussion. So what is y'all's top, I guess, 18 ranking, or rank all of the ones that you all have been to, 1 through whatever that number is? So I'm curious as to what y'all think. Thanks. Love the show. Stay gorgeous, stay beautiful, stay handsome. Love you.
Well, I no longer hold the distinction of being to every stadium because of SMU, Cal, and Stanford.
Yeah.
So
if you cannot come up with something to talk about on
when in doubt,
June 13th, let me tell you, the easiest way to tickle the phone lines is to talk about stadium experiences in the ACC. I will agree with the overall point, the pros and cons of the 3 locals. NC State's tailgating culture does a lot of work for the inadequacy of the building in 2025, like modern amenities in 2025. So the tailgating makes up for that. That's why, honestly, pass outs will never go away, regardless of what Dave Dorn or anybody else wants. There's actual logistics behind why pass outs make sense for NC State. Also correct about Keenan. Keenan is beautiful. It's an amazing backdrop. Try going to the bathroom. It's brutal. The concourse is tough, man. It's actually worse than Carter Finley. At least Carter Finley, there's some open space. You get bottlenecked at Keenan. And thankfully, they have removed a lot of those aluminum seats with the backs where you really had no room to sit. So they have that going for them. Wallace Wade's probably had the best glow up. It used to be the place that I would suggest that if you wanted to get the kids out of your house, let them roam free for a little bit while you watch a football game. Wallace Wade was perfect because you would have entire sections for kids to climb. But obviously, Duke has done a very, very good job of completely revamping their game day experience. The issues for Duke and Carolina continue to be parking for the most part, and trying to replicate tailgating. I do think that there's some charms to tailgating at Keenan and charms to tailgating at Wallace Wade, but again, that's where NC State wins. After that, I will admit that my stadium experiences are very limited. I tried to get down to Clemson once, but that fell through. I will be going to Lane Stadium, hopefully at some point this season.
Wait a second. You've never been to a game at Virginia Tech?
I've never been to a game at Virginia Tech.
Well, there's your top two. Those are easy. Those are no-brainers.
Yeah, those are the no-brainers. Just
So-
based on television, you can tell the atmosphere. But those are the two places that I have not gone to that hopefully, at least with Virginia Tech, I will resolve this year.
Both Clemson and Virginia Tech on campus.
Yeah.
Kind of important.
Yeah.
Clemson, I've been to Clemson a bunch of times during the day, and I was always impressed. You got to go once. You got to see the Rock. You got to do the whole thing.
Mhm.
The Bambard game was during the day, and I was like, okay, this is cool. Obviously, it gets very loud. Wasn't until the pandemic year, the year after the pandemic, when State was in the top 10. They were in the top 10 or number 10 or 15, wherever they were. 12, maybe. I don't know. My math's off this morning. That game was at night.
Okay.
When I went to a night game at Clemson, I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah, now I get
Okay.
it. Yeah.
Now, number 2 on the list is VT, because I've been to VT. The very first ACC game they played was against Duke. I was covering Duke at the time. That was a day game that lived up to it. I also covered them at night when they played Miami,
Mm-hmm.
and I was like, oh, okay. I get all this on campus, the whole thing. Enter Sandman.
Lane Stadium is just Carter Finley.
No, it's that the visiting side just goes straight up. There's no tier.
Oh, okay.
So it just goes straight up, and the sound just bounces off of that side. That's why it gets so loud there.
Because on TV, it looks like it looks like another version of Carter Finley Stadium. On television, when you're looking at,
it is an on-campus Carter Finley Stadium in the sense that the tailgating there used to be more of an open field.
yes.
And there's a lot of places to park and the whole thing there, but it's easily number 2.
Okay.
Number 3 is controversial because I have not been to a game at Florida State at night.
Mm-hmm.
I've been to Florida State during the day.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen Florida State when they're number 1 in the country. I've seen Florida State against Carolina for a 3:30 game. That was pretty good. But and it's bigger than NC State, all those other things. I would put NC State ahead of Florida State. I would.
I would agree with you.
Florida State is bigger, but I feel like the lows of Florida State bring it down, and I've seen it when it's at its lows.
It's the same thing I would say about the old Orange Bowl. When you're talking about Miami running hot and Florida State's at the Orange Bowl, then there's no other experience quite like it. I mean, the building literally shook. You could go up and down, that kind of stuff. But when ECU showed up, when you're playing, I don't even know. I want to say, I remember the craptacular situation. It was the second to last game at the Orange Bowl where that was a Tom O'Brien team that went to Miami.
Yes.
And won
on like 4 field goals. Yeah.
Yes, it was the worst game possible, and that building was dead. There was nobody there for that because nobody wanted to see NC State. So when Orange Bowl is at its lows, well, now think about that. Now transport that to Joe Robbie Stadium. It's a terrible experience now. But I'm with you I'm with you on Doak. It's very, very similar.
Okay, now if you like on-campus experiences, I would say Virginia and North Carolina, the stadium themselves on campus they are scenic. They are enjoyable. There's like a quaint sense to it, but there's not like an electricity. Okay. Also, parking at Virginia is impossible.
Awful.
And parking at Carolina, if you don't know someone, is
awful.
very, very difficult.
Yes.
So I will say that. But in both instances, you can leave the stadium and walk down to like the main drag and get yourself a pop and have a little bit of fun. So there is that. Now, I'm going to go to 2 that I think I enjoy going to because of the city. Georgia Tech, you don't think of as this great place. But again, I've been to night games at Georgia Tech. I've been to day games at Georgia Tech.
It's right there in downtown Atlanta.
It is smack dab. You can get the MARTA right there. I enjoyed the last night game I went there. State was terrible, but it was still an enjoyable experience. The fans that they have are into it. And again, I've never really been there when they're running hot, but it's a good trip. Pittsburgh's another one where unless they play West Virginia or Penn State, you're not going to see their building full because it's the Steelers Stadium, but it's the Steelers Stadium. And I've been to Pittsburgh a couple different times. It's one of my favorite cities in the ACC. I put there as like, these are all, you're talking about amenities, you're talking about going to places like Atlanta and Pittsburgh, they're worth it.
Mhm.
I got two underrated for you. Okay. The first one will not surprise you. It's Louisville. Louisville, like NC State, is like on a fairgrounds. So there's also this train that goes by, and you can tailgate on the train and this whole thing. Louisville just renovated their stadium. Louisville and Carter Finley, no surprise, very similar. While it is a basketball town or a horse racing town, Louisville also has the added, as any Wolfpack club member can tell you, the added ability to go on a bourbon tour.
Yes.
Like, and Louisville, while maybe not the most booming metropolis of a downtown, there's always somewhere good to eat and drink in Louisville. Louisville is definitely a place that you should go. My second underrated that most people may actually laugh at, definitely Mike Lennon would laugh at, Boston College. Boston College.
All right, you lost me there.
There is not a bad. It's on
Why?
campus
Because you could just walk to the other side of the press box to see a hockey game. Is that
It's
why?
it is connected to Conte Forum, but
Right.
it is on campus.
Yeah.
Okay. There is not a single bad seat in that place.
Okay.
Every time I've seen State play there, it's not full.
No.
It's during the day, and there's an unbelievable breakfast place right around the corner.
Okay.
All right. Plus, it's Boston. Now, if you really want to, it's Chestnut Hill.
It's not really.
Technically,
It's not really.
but you're just going down Commonwealth Avenue.
Okay.
You're super close. Okay. If you want. The Italian section of Boston is very, very good.
Sure.
Okay. So I probably should lump BC in with GT and Pitt, but I'm telling you
As
that
like those city stadiums.
but BC's stadium is small and it's closed in. There's all four spots are closed in there, and there's not a bad seat in the place. There's not. Okay. So that's what I would say. Now, for worst, I mean, season to taste. I mean, I've not been. I didn't like Miami when I first went. It was before they renovated Hard Rock. Because it's in the middle of nowhere.
It's still a terrible experience.
Very, very difficult to get to.
It's a terrible experience.
At the time, it was open. That was one of the hottest I've ever been in my life.
Yeah.
And I wasn't even sitting outside. I mean, it was just gross.
Yeah.
I literally left that building going, they've played the Super Bowl here multiple times. Like, I was just like, what are they doing?
Because of South Beach. That's why.
But you're nowhere near.
I understand that. But if you watch it on television, you would think, oh my goodness, South Beach is like Ocean Drive is right down the street. A1A, let's go. Right. No, it doesn't work that way. I would argue, even with the renovations, specifically for a Hurricanes game, terrible experience. Experience.
I haven't been since they've covered it. So at least I'll say that.
Okay.
I will say that. And I know they redid a lot of the concourse.
Yeah.
They've upgraded that. But for me, Miami was the worst one I've been to. Syracuse is odd because at the time, the title sponsor was an air conditioning company, and it's always hot. I think they've now since fixed that they have air conditioning there.
Yeah, I think whoever is now the presenting, was it JMA or whatever it is? It's like a wireless company or something like that. Anyway, Syracuse is on campus. I don't dislike Syracuse. There are people who don't like going to Syracuse, but I don't dislike Syracuse. I also don't recommend going in November. If they were to play that game in September, it would be beautiful. Sure. Except that's the worst time of the year to go. Actually, no, probably January would be the worst. No.
February, March. There's still snow in March.
Yeah,
man.
that's true.
It'll still snow in April up there.
That's a good point. That's a good point. All right, let's go to the next one. 2-864.
Hey guys, since it's the off season, I love asking these kind of bigger questions now that we don't have as much to talk about. So my question is, do we think that college football will ever move to a spring season? The reason being, that old law passed in the 60s saying for the NFL to get their antitrust exemption, they couldn't play on Saturdays and Saturdays and Fridays. Was written in a far, far different era. If college football wants to be a super league of its own, basically a pseudo pro league, what's stopping they're not doing it out of the love of their heart, but what's going to stop the NFL in the future from wanting to play on Saturdays? And would that make college want to change to keep their gravy boat running and try to play in the spring? I guess the biggest hurdle to that would be the draft, but I would love to hear you guys' thoughts. Thank you.
I mean, it's a decent idea, and I understand the mentality behind it, but the worst kept secret between college football and the NFL is that it's actually very symbiotic. The NFL is not going to do it. The NFL needs college on a variety of levels. The biggest one being it's their free minor league. Do they encroach on college football with these games on Saturday and whatnot? Sure they do. But I do maintain that a college football fan is going to maintain being a college football fan, and they're going to choose college football every single time over the NFL, given the choice. College football is its own personality. College football has its own beats and its own personalities and everything that goes along with it. And the NFL wants you to run concurrent. The NFL will want you to run concurrent with it. And I think college administrators want to run concurrent with it because when you start getting into the draft talk, well, you have an opportunity. Like if you have, we'll use Drake May as a most recent example, right? Even though Carolina was having an up and down season, Drake May was still being discussed as a potential college, as a potential top draft pick. That kind of stuff matters when we get into the discourse of college football and keeping it in the national conversation, because it's also the in for casual college football fans to check it out. Because if you are a team that's looking for the quarterback savior, you're more likely that Saturday before your team plays, check that game out. So I think it's all tied together, and that's why they're never going to break off and play in the spring.
Yeah, I would agree. You mentioned the draft, also just the fatigue. Like if you played college football a full season in the spring, then all of a sudden had to go into NFL training camp, and then the guys who did play up in the NFL,
it'd be the WNBA.
They would, it'd be just like the WNBA, which is a problem. And
Yep.
then all of a sudden, your rookies become essentially you're waiting for their second year for them to fully catch up.
Yes,
I also think it's in our area there are more NFL fans. I feel like, or there's definitely more NFL fans, but there's as many people who care about both.
Mhm.
Like when you go to Tennessee, when you go down to Florida, when you go to some of these other places, they really care about their college.
Yes.
It's not Georgia, Alabama. Like they might watch the NFL, gamble on the NFL, have a fantasy team, whatever. But if you were to make them choose, to your point, they would choose their college team every time.
Oh, okay.
Ohio State, Michigan, Penn State
Georgia
too,
right?
as well.
You bring up Georgia. You're telling me that the football fans in Atlanta, given the choice, you got to watch the Falcons or you got to watch the Dogs? What are you going to do?
Yeah.
It's going to be the Dogs every single time, man. Every single time. That might not be the case here.
No, I think here
But-
you'd have more of a dispersion.
All right, next up. 919.
Hi, this is Joseph in Wake Forest, and I see that house case or whatever for the paying of the athletes got approved and all. And I'll be frank with you, I'm kind of UNC-centric. I was wondering if you guys could give your perspective on what schools around here might be able to foot the bill for all the scholarships and sports and the pay and all that mess. I was pleased to find out today that the Rams Club had like a $650 million endowment to cover the scholarships. I don't know if they're going to be able to cover all 800 and whatever scholarships. And they offer a lot of sports. I don't think they want to cover sports. But the other schools around here, I know you probably have no idea about Duke, but you guys are pretty NC State centric. And if you could just shed some light on your knowledge from NC State as to where they stand with this versus what you know about UNC on your next program, that would be appreciated. And I do hope you guys are doing well and enjoying the summer. Take care.
So we're going to have a longer conversation about this with Matt Brown, Extra Points newsletter. This week, he wrote a lot about the House settlement, what it's going to mean for a variety of universities. He also went to the athletic directors convention this week. to see what the main topics are. So we're going to check in with him when we get to Monday to have a better idea of what exactly we're talking about. But we are seeing schools come out and say what they're prioritizing with revenue sharing, with the House settlement. And I was just texting we talked about this a little bit yesterday. You had mentioned it with Chris Pollard at Duke. You're seeing some decisions being made with what schools are going to prioritize what. And who knows? You're for Chris Pollard, you kind of saw where things were going with baseball, and you see other schools that are going to invest more potentially in that sport. So you're going to go ahead and you're going to jump ship in that regard. This is difficult for me to talk about because I don't want to make declarative statements about where things are going when it comes to this kind of money. Number one, because we don't know what it ultimately will look like in the next 6 months, because there's stuff going on in DC too, as it relates to this. I don't know how schools are going to continue to find the loopholes to get money to where it needs to be. This idea that schools aren't going to continue to find loopholes. They're not going to try to find bag men. They're not going to try to find ways to circumvent and get more money to these programs. Like, all that stuff is going to play out, and you're still going to have people mad. Everybody keeps talking about guardrails. Well, the one thing that's funny about college is every time they put a guardrail up, there's an entire group of people within your program that find a way to get around said guardrails. So that's why I'm looking forward to talking to Matt about like what's hyperbole, what's real, and why we need to kind of like take a step back and see where this is going before we make any declarative statements.
I think even at Carolina and Duke, you'll see some hard decisions that are made. Now, obviously, Carolina and Duke both play a lot more and fund a lot more varsity sports than NC State does. I think NC State's already been in cutback mode. That's been one of Boo Corrigan's strengths has been his financial efficiency, much to the chagrin of certain coaches.
We did get a question from that to follow up. This is from Reeves on via email. If a school like State does not spend to the house cap, who is to blame? University for poor budgeting, Wolfpack Club for not being able to raise funds. Other than media revenue, what would need to change internally and or externally to help schools like State spend to the cap? Because like Carolina, I would imagine, is going to spend to the cap. Duke is going to spend to the cap.
I mean, it's going to be interesting to see how it all plays out.
We don't know.
Again, those schools have more sports, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so there's two different things. There's the idea of what do you do with non-revenue sports? Do you continue to support them in the way that you do with revenue from football and men's basketball? And that's a conundrum that faces even Alabama. So it's not just specific to how much money does each individual school have. I think NC State in some ways is in a better position because they have fewer sports. And what I mean by better position is how many sports are ultimately going to get cut. That's where I think the rubber meets the road. And that's where schools like Stanford, Duke, Virginia, Carolina, they're going to have to decide, how do we support these programs? All of those schools I just mentioned have an unbelievable endowment. Well, what is the endowment for, if not for the betterment of your university? What do you consider to be the betterment of your university? I promise you that Stanford believes the betterment of their university is having all of these unbelievable Olympic athletes. I promise you that Duke believes in the betterment of their university is the excellence of their athletic department, not just from Mike Krzyzewski or John Shire in the men's basketball, but all of the other sports that they excel in. Carolina considers themselves the University of National Champions.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they have never won a national championship in football. It's been a few years since they've won one in men's basketball, but they're still the University of National Champions because they have all field hockey. They have
Can I tell
lacrosse.
you a dirty secret about that? They know they're never going to win a national championship in football.
I don't know.
Football doesn't count in the equation. Football does not count in the equation.
They literally just hired one of the two greatest football coaches of all time and put $40 million into it.
Cool. They ain't winning a national championship.
I'm not saying
We're doing an entire exercise about this throughout the summer about Triangle Good. It don't matter. So when they talk about being the University of National Champions, it is everything but football.
It traditionally has been.
Yes.
I would argue that the way that the tournament has changed in football gives more people a chance in football. I'm not saying Carolina is going to take advantage of that opportunity, but if you were to sit here last summer and tell me that Kirk Cignetti was going to have Indiana in the playoff with a chance, I would have been like, sure. I would have laughed.
I was about to tell you, when you expand the field, you will get more Indianas.
Yes.
That's fine.
But you're not.
That's great. But you saw what happened, right? Okay.
You're not going to get more Georgias, is what you're getting.
No, it's exactly what I'm saying. Anyway, that's going to wrap it up for the free portion of the mailbag. We got calls on whether or not UNC baseball shit is a real thing. We've got reaction to. Actually, there's a good example about UNC baseball that I'm excited to read. We got reaction to our Mount Rushmore of QBs the last 25 years. We also have some David Tepper love.
Okay.
What?
Let's do
Actual
it.
David Tepper love? Not necessarily for football, but just in general about what's going on in Charlotte. All those things on the paid side. If you'd like to listen to the full mailbag, go to ogtrianglemedia.com. Be part of the OG fans group. You get discounts to the Sports Podcast Festival. You can use SPF 25 right now for a buy one, get one. Full price on one ticket, $30 for the second ticket. Just use that promo code SPF 25 when you go to therealtor.com. We got a pop-up shop coming up with some pocket tees, tank tops, hats. Maybe if you're an OG fan subscriber, you might get a discount on said pop-up shop. So head on over to ogtrianglemedia.com today. Be part of OG fans.